All right. Peace and greetings, YouTubers. George Floyd. So normally, I don't watch the videos when they go viral. However, somehow I ended up watching this one, which did not help my case because it makes me even more flustered as I try to make this video. The frustrating aspect in all of this is the fact that you're witnessing the lack of empathy. And it's not just in that specific situation. You see it all the time. It's so embedded within the policing of this country. And we recognize that the policing system in this country is pretty much rooted in racism to begin with. And like that entire system of the judicial system, the prison industrial complex, and policing, they're all just kind of, they're part of this intricate web of confusion and chaos that works against some populations but benefits others. And so it's a lot, man, to sit and watch a video. And for me, it's like, what is the threshold when it comes to finding your humanity, even if you're working within the scope of your employment? Like, that's the part that gets me. To sit there and see some bootleg police officer press his knee and all his body weight on a black man's neck who's already handcuffed, who is not resisting arrest, who's saying, okay, please, like, I cannot freaking breathe. Can I get some water? My stomach hurts. I don't feel right. I think I'm about to die. And the fact that that officer just sits there. And then the other three officers that are there, all of them just sitting there chilling. This is why when people try to say not all cops are bad cops, there's some good cops. My question is, well, where are they? I mean, is there like a certain cap? Like you got to have 5 out there in order for somebody to say, hey, maybe we're doing too much. Because for me, watching that, literally, you just see the privilege that comes for some groups of people. Like, again, the fact that there's no interference. And the man is clearly dead in the video. They're trying to say, oh, no, he died later on. It doesn't matter. You still killed him. But, you know, you see this man begging for his life, and eventually he stops talking. There's blood coming from the man's nose. The man is pretty much dead. Even as they put him on a stretcher, they're being careful with his head because most likely his neck is probably also fractured when you got that fat cop with his body weight on his neck. Come on, man. And again, it goes back to the fact that when it comes to policing in this country, like, black people don't get choices. We just get the straight pull out all the stops and pull out the biggest tricks and the biggest guns right off the bat. You just gotta die. It's not the same with white Americans. We know that. You know, white men can go and shoot up churches and get Burger King. You know, white men can go and shoot up movie theaters and make it out alive. You know, they can go and shoot up any and everything. Blow up stuff, shoot up churches, schools, mosques, anything, and you know they can hold people hostage. And what do? They'll bring out the negotiator. You know, my name is Greg. I'm your friend. I heard you like sports. The Rams used to be my favorite football team. Then they moved to LA. So I understand your pain, but we can get out of this together, you and me, bro. Like, they get all that shit. Dang, I did not mean to cuss, but they get all of that. And you know, again, when you're looking at the context of what just happened, the police are claiming, okay, there was a forgery in progress and, you know, and then he resisted arrest, allegedly. I never take the police's account because half the time they're always lying, they're always planting evidence, and there's too many books, too many cases, too many tangible things that you can go back and look at in history and say, no, the police were wrong here, they were wrong here, and they were wrong there. And because so many of the police recognize that policing in itself is already a good old boy system club of protecting each other, which is why those other 3 cops, none of them had the balls to pretty much step up and say, hey man, you're doing too much. We need to stop before we hurt this guy. They all know we all in this together. We can figure this out. It's kind of like when the NYPD were pissed off with their mayor because he pretty much called them out after everything that happened with Eric Garner, and he was doing the speech and all of them turned their backs because they were so hurt. You're working against us. Like, dang man, come on with that bull. Like, I'm over it. Like, gee. And so, even if this whole forgery thing was real, is that worth dying over? And then you gotta be realistic. You just watched like 40 million people lose their jobs. And so even if the forgery thing was true, you're gonna see an increase of that in society because people are gonna do what they need to do in order to survive at the moment. I don't believe the forgery crap, by the way, but whatever they wanna put out there, they put out there. And again, with the resisting arrest, by the time that video comes on, I only see one aggressor, and it's not the person who's dead. And so again, it's just like, and even thinking about it, this is just what we saw on camera. It makes me think of all the other people who have mysteriously died or something happened, but nobody was there to witness, and you had to just take the police's account of what happened. That's some scary stuff to think about. And I know some people are like, hey, well, at least they got fired. This is progress, because a few years ago, they would go and shoot and kill somebody, and then they would just get administrative leave and vacation and a raise, and then they'd be right back on the job. But for me, that's just kind of the system playing into itself anyway. If you want to appease me, I want to see the police officers not only just be fired, but actually charged, get a real trial, and become convicted, serve a real sentence, and never be invited to serve on another police force again. And I mean like a real conviction, not 2 years in prison and then after, 2 months of being in jail, they got out on good behavior and got probation and then they got a special on Dateline. Like, I don't want none of that crap. Like, come on. Because in reality, in order for this entire policing system to actually work, that full system has to be gutted. The policing system has to be gutted. The prison industrial complex has to be vetted and gutted and restructured. Same thing with the judicial system, because all of that crap is some BS. You want to see how much of a double standard exists? Now, right now in Minneapolis, there's people protesting, and of course, the police, they're throwing out tear gas, and people are getting shot with rubber bullets and everything. But it's so funny that this is the same state where you just had armed white people over at the state capitol with guns because they couldn't get their hair done, because their kids couldn't go to Chuck E. Cheese, because they couldn't go to Red Lobster that day. And everything, they whole riots and riot gear, and people walking around with bazookas, and people walking around in bulletproof vests and helmets and walkie-talkies and all this. And there was no tear gas. There were no. I don't even think anybody was arrested. Literally, if anybody was, whatever, slap on the wrist. And so now you see people calling out that same system that's screwing people over, and everybody's getting gassed up. Everybody, you just see the contradiction. And so again, like, that whole system is corrupt. And again, with people saying, oh, well, even if they get charged, I think that's the justice. For me, it's still not. I feel like in order to fix policing in America, you got to gut that whole system. A police officer being charged and convicted and serving time in jail for overstepping their boundaries and pretty much killing somebody unjustifiably, yes, it's a small step in the right direction. But again, that whole system is still in play. It would be like if there was a mansion that was on fire. And I mean, the whole mansion is up in flames. Let's say that mansion symbolizes Black America or something like that, right? If you put out the fire that was in the backyard on the gazebo that just happened to catch because it was in close proximity to the house, and you put that fire out, the whole house is still on fire. Yeah, you put the gazebo out, but it didn't change anything. That's how I look at policing when some of these police end up getting charged and convicted or fired or terminated or demoted or whatever it is after they do something crazy. Like, for me, I'm not going to celebrate, one small victory in a full freaking ocean of things that need to be fixed. Like, literally, I can scoop that victory up with one net. Like, literally. What's also disturbing is the fact that, again, the officer is on camera and doesn't even care. And the bystanders are telling the officer, hey, like, he's not even moving. What are you doing? And the cop's just still standing there. He got the little stupid shades on. Just, it is what it is, because he's the big guy in town. Because, again, that conversation of ego and pride, a lot of these police have inferiority complexes already. And so for them, they get a thrill out of this kind of stuff. For them, because sometimes they don't have anything else to offer society, all they can offer is doing a good job at their job. And their definition of doing a good job at their job means by any means necessary. If I have to be extremely violent, if I have to be heartless, if I got to kill somebody, it is what it is. But I did it. Like, you ever see like the pictures where the police have like a bust or a drug bust, but it's not like a big one. It's like one bag of weed and maybe one gun, and then there's 5 cops in the picture smiling. I'm like, y'all posted that? Okay, all right. Goodness, a lot. I want to see how this one unfolds. I really want to see. This one has kind of gotten a lot of national traction. And in an election year, you're going to hear a lot of hot air spewed out, but we'll see where this goes. Anyway, condolences to his family. This crap is enraging for real. It's enraging because you see yourself in the people, well, at least for me as a Black man, you see yourself in all of the people that keep passing on. And those images never get out of your head. That's one of the reasons why I normally don't watch the videos, because after you've seen so many Philando Castiles and Terrence Crutchers and Freddie Grays and Eric Garners and so many other people, every image stays embedded. And that's one of the traumatic things that I think people who are not Black will never understand. They can be outraged. They can see the problem, but for me, even though Black people are not a monolithic group of people as far as how our politics go and how we do everything, what happens to us as a collective. Even if you don't want to be a part of that collective, if you're one of them Black people who think, oh, I got a good job, I ain't with the rest of y'all, I got a nice job or some crap like that. At the end of the day, a lot of people get that Black wake-up call all the time. And so again, it's like I see pieces of me every time one of these killings happen. It's like, you know, jeez, this could have just been a bad run-in while I was going for a walk. It could have just been a random coincidence. What is it that made it be that person and not be me? And that's something that eats people alive. You know what I mean? That's not a good way to go to sleep at night. Anyway, I'm out. Share your 2 cents. Subscribe. By the way, don't forget, we're going live Thursday, 9 p.m. All right.